It is known as one of the most horrific tram crashes in history, even deadlier than the Green Hornet streetcar disaster in Chicago. This is a story of post-Soviet era horrors. This is the story of July 2nd, 1996. This is the story of the deadliest Ukrainian tram disaster in history. This is the story of the Kamianske Tram Disaster. In 1996, Kamiansk, in the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast of Ukraine, was still known as Dnipro-Dzerzhinsk, the name it had been given since 1936. Leader of the USSR, Leonid Brezhnev, was born and raised in this town. For many years, people had gotten around by tram around the city. Nowadays, there are 4 lines. Line 1 connecting Ploshka DMK with a loop at Sergia Silsarenka, sending the tram back to Ploshka DMK. Line 2 connecting Ploshka DMK with a loop containing a request stop, Volska, Donetska, Lvivna Skogo and Poliziska, meaning that it heads all the way back to Polshka DMK. Line 3 connecting Polshka DMK with Kanukiva, and Line 4 connecting DKKHZ with Odeska. But back in 1996, another line existed, heading down Hetman Doroshenko Street, branching off from Getmana Doroshenko Station on Line 2, and connecting with Hetmana Doroshenko Street on Line 3. This road had a steep incline when approaching either end of the line, with the tip of the hill being at the intersection at Narodna Street. The tram system operated several Tatra T3s, Tatra T6B5s, KTM5s, and KTM8s. On July 2nd, KTM5 tram number 1044 was heading along this line. There is a stop at the summit where the tram stopped, and some passengers disembarked from the tram, but none got on board. The tram driver closed the doors, and the steep descent down started. There were several stops before the tram would turn onto Anoshinka Avenue, but as the driver started to put on the brakes for the first stop, he could barely stop, and it slipped past it. The driver was frantically trying to brake and reverse the tram, but it didn't stop. As the tram went past the second stop, it kept going faster and faster, and that was when everyone knew that nothing would stop the tram. A girl called Ale shouted in the tram, "Sit on the floor and cover your head with your hands!" Others tried to force the doors open, but they wouldn't budge, most likely due to the huge crowd on the packed tram. There was nothing left that could stop disaster. The tram flew off the tracks and ripped open like a can of sardines as it plowed through a brick wall. Dead bodies were stricken across the scene everywhere. The sight was so gruesome, most footage of the crash I can't even show. It was an absolutely horrible sight. 34 people were killed, 9 of which were children. 143 more were injured. The next day, a 5-day mourning was announced in the town, and a state reception was cancelled in the entire country of Ukraine. The mayor of Dnipro-Dzerzhinsk, Sergei Sheznev, resigned. But what could cause such a horrible crash? Somber music was played on all state television and radio channels. The city leaders were found guilty of the tragedy. Vice Mayor Igor Lokindotinov was fired, the mayor Sergei Sheznev resigned, a car driver who was seriously injured in the accident, and several officials of the tramway KP were put on trial. They were accused of the poor maintenance of the old Soviet tram, causing the brakes to fail on the steep slope. The car driver had reported to the dispatcher about the problems with the battery system. However, the tram was sent along the line anyways. But was that all that caused this? The immense weight of the tram with all the passengers might have helped the tram to gain speed when it went down the hill. In the end, the wrecked tram was withdrawn. Its current status is unknown, however it was most likely scrapped. The tram depot it was stored at was later closed due to its lack of serviceable trams. The line connecting 2 and 3 was closed to memorialise the victims, with a memorial park made at the precise location the tram stopped, with the centrepiece being a sculpture resembling bent tram rails. This crash was quite similar to the Zagreb tram disaster in the 1950s, and the 2016 Croydon tram crash that killed 9. However, the latter has been identified to be caused by the driver having a microsleep. Hopefully, we never see a disaster on this magnitude on a tram ever again.